Countdown by Ben Mikaelsen. Chapter 1. Bitter wind from Crazy Peak tugged at the sagebrush as 14-year-old Elliot Schroeder coaxed his big buckskin horse back toward the ranch. He rode easily as if his short frame had grown from the saddle. Across his lap he held a kicking newborn calf. The morning wind gusted. Elliot pulled an old gunny sack from his saddlebag and wrapped it around the bloody calf like a blanket. He clapped his frozen gloves against his pants to warm his hands and threaded his way down the rocky slope. The calf's mother followed, bawling her concern. The calf kept struggling. "Knock it off," Elliot scolded, squinting into the driving snow. "You'd be dead if I hadn't found you." He was right, too. Early snows could freeze a calf to death before its mother licked it dry. Elliot knew he was lucky to find the calf. He had been daydreaming, watching the snowflakes swirl past him like stars, past a spaceship blasting through space. Only the mother cow's bawling had caused Elliot to look down. Daydreamers wreck ranches, Dad often said. Elliot agreed, but imagination didn't switch off like a light switch. Even now, Elliot remembered every airplane and space poster taped up in his bedroom. He remembered each minute of every flight lesson he had taken during the past 2 years. Each month, he saved all of the money he earned so that he could ride his bicycle 7 miles to the airport on the bluff above Big Timber for a flight lesson. He couldn't wait to solo an airplane. What would it be like being alone in the air the very first time? Elliot's thoughts never stopped there. He couldn't look up into a night sky without wondering what it would be like in space. Were there aliens out there somewhere? Thinking about space travel made Elliot giddy with excitement, especially since NASA had made their announcement. 1 month ago, with his parents watching the evening news, Elliot had overheard the words that would change his life. With dozens of cameras whizzing and clicking at NASA headquarters in Washington, D.C., a NASA spokesman had announced simply over the TV, "Ladies and gentlemen, tonight NASA is announcing the first junior astronaut program. Somewhere in this country, one youth will have the opportunity of space travel." As reporters screamed questions, the man held up his hand and kept speaking. "Our grandparents dreamed of moving westward. We dreamed of landing on the moon. What did our children dream of?" The man turned solemn. "Most children have no dreams at all. Drug addiction, alcoholism, teenage pregnancy, truancy, high suicide rates, juvenile delinquency, gangs. These are not dreams." The man paused. Last year, a special presidential commission convened to discuss the problem of rebuilding the dreams of the nation. Based on the panel's recommendation, NASA is today announcing the first junior astronaut program. "You would want to risk a child's life?" asked the reporter. The spokesman replied bluntly, "America did not become great by tiptoeing on dreams. Dreams don't come from a video arcade at some mall." Even now, riding through the driving snow on his horse, Elliot remembered what was said next. "Who will the child be?" shouted a reporter. The NASA spokesman shuffled papers in his hands. "Selection will not, I repeat, not be based on exceptional aptitude or ability. Every youth in America must be able to share the same hope of becoming that first junior astronaut. For this reason, selection will be determined by a national lottery." A stunned silence followed those words. The NASA spokesman continued quickly. "Application forms will be mailed to every school in the nation. Provided a student meets basic physical criteria, any child between the ages of 10 and 15 will have an equal opportunity to become the world's first junior astronaut. The goal is to rekindle a dream." Elliot had turned his full attention to the TV and jumped to his feet. "Mom! Dad! Did you hear that? They're sending a kid into space. Elliot's parents, Angie and Dalton, yawned. Dalton looked at his watch. It's about time for bed, isn't it? It could be me, Elliot shouted. It could be me. They wouldn't send a 14-year-old who can't do homework, Angie kid. Or chores, Dalton added. No, really, Elliot said. It could be me. I already take flying lessons. He pointed at the TV. Listen. The NASA spokesman continued. Some will say this plan is ludicrous, that taking a child into space will not revitalize a nation. We disagree. Tonight, after hearing this announcement, millions of children will go outside and look up. Tonight, dreams will be planted. Elliot knew one dream had been planted. That night after lights were out, he climbed out the window of his upstairs bedroom. Alone on the roof in the cold evening air, he stared at the sky until midnight. What it would be like to really blast off into space. The thought burned into his head like a hot ember. 2 weeks later, he was the first at school to turn in his completed 6-page NASA application. Some parents wouldn't sign the consent form. Most, however, were like Elliot's. They signed just to make their kids quit begging. There's more chance of lightning hitting a mosquito, Elliot's dad joked, scribbling his signature. Elliot pulled the calf against his bulky Carhartt jacket as the barn came into sight. The mother cow still followed, bellowing her displeasure through the falling snow. Elliot was not thinking about the calf. He was thinking about tomorrow. Already, NASA had held their lottery to choose the first junior astronaut. And tomorrow, they would announce the winner. Tomorrow, lightning would strike somewhere. Why not here? At that moment, 14-year-old Elliot, Andrew Schroeder, had no way of knowing how NASA's junior astronaut lottery would turn his life upside down. Nor did he have any way of knowing how the junior astronaut selection would change the life of one Maasai boy in Kenya, Africa. As Elliot lifted the freezing newborn calf onto a warm bed of fresh straw, half a world away, a young Maasai herder, Vincent Oldtome, also lifted a newborn calf. He slumped it over his shoulders. The birth fluids darkened the red-striped toga sheet that covered Vincent's body. Long shadows told the 14-year-old herder he must return to the Engang, his family's cluster of dung huts. Vincent whistled to start the restless herd moving. He kicked a clod of dry dirt at the old cow that had given birth. Why did she wait until the moon was chasing the sun from the sky to have her young? Soon, darkness would make the leopards, lions, cheetahs, and hyenas grow bold. Then nothing was safe. Ahead, baboons chased across in front of the herd. Their sharp grunts broke the stillness. A mother baboon trailed behind the pack, her baby clinging tightly to her stomach. She angled toward the distant trees, avoiding a dead zebra carcass. Life and death were brothers, Vincent thought. A lion had taken down the old zebra to give life to her newborn cubs. Life brought death, and death gave life. This is how it has always been. This is how it must always be. They should be equal. But it seemed to Vincent that he had seen more death than life. Like an old man breathing less each day, the land also breathed less. Rains no longer came willingly. The tall, honey-colored grasses, Vincent remembered, no longer grew. Carcasses of dead Cape buffalo dotted the horizon like termite mounds. Only the buzzards did not die. The fat birds hopped about, picking at the rotting meat. Why was the land dying? This question made Vincent's forehead wrinkle in thought. Even the wildebeest were fewer. Once these shaggy beasts had come to Maasailand in such great numbers, they had covered all the ground from sky to sky. All of the land seemed to move. Elders said the stars would fall to earth before the wildebeest disappeared. And yet they were disappearing. They vanished from the land like water from a cracked drinking gourd. Vincent had no answers as he drove the herd toward the small huts of the Ngang. That was his home. When finally he neared the Ngang, he stopped, the calf still across his shoulders. Vincent stared across the valley from the Ngang to the shiny tin roof and the low grade walls of the wood schoolhouse. He hoped nobody watched him. In Masailand, it was said that a wandering mind cannot protect a cow. The elders and warriors beat herders they caught dreaming or telling stories. Still, Vincent stared. For 2 years his father, Tom, has allowed one of his sons to learn at the wood school. That son had been Vincent. It had cost 3 cows each year, but the greatest cost to Tom had been losing the help of a son. It was there at the wood school that Vincent's Maasai name, Ntoros, had been changed by the headmaster to the white man's name, Vincent. Tom did not like the new name, but he allowed it. Then the rains had quit, and many cows had died. Once again, Vincent was made to herd. Staring at the wood school made Vincent's mind more hungry than ever. The land outside the schoolhouse was cracked and dead. But inside, children from other Ngangs learned new ideas. Their minds thought new thoughts, and all Vincent could do was stand with a bloody calf across his shoulders and dream. End of chapter 1.